everybody. Thank the Lord for I'm so grateful I'm able to share a testimony. I was so excited. I was just so happy. It was in my prayer time. A thought came to me that I would be sharing a thought came to me, you're going to share a testimony, but I just threw it out of my mind and think about it. I was like, no, I'm not going to, I ain't think about it. And then Reverend asked me, and I was like, sure, I would love to share a testimony about how great God is.
Yes.
But the name of my testimony is called God's Plan for My Life. And to gain your attention, I'm going to just read a few things from this prophecy. It was a prophecy that Reverend Thomas texted to us a couple of days ago. The date of that prophecy is February the 28th, 1999. And it says, "Thus saith the Lord, I am your God. I have planned your life, just as I planned the life of my only begotten Son. And I'm walking with you just as I walk with him. And I have ordained you to take this gospel to the world." And I thought about my life, and I thought about the plan that God has for my life is in this ministry. And I know I was shaped. I have no doubt in my mind that I was shaped, that we all are shaped in our mother's womb. We was born for this ministry to help Reverend take this gospel to the world, and that means in every way necessary. And I know in my heart I was born and shaped in my mother's womb for that. Attention, I looked up plan, and plan is decide on and arrange in advance, which takes me to my purpose. In Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5, it says, "Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations." And sanctify means to set apart. And I thought about planning. It says arrange in advance. That means in advance, before I was even thought about, God had a plan for my life in this ministry. But I didn't know what all that plan entails. I didn't know, following God's plan, all the goodies that comes with it. But I'm going to get more into that. And my first 3 points is how God plan began in my life. The second one is two forces battling for my soul, God and the devil. God planned the perfect mate for me. And you all know who that is. But anyway. Point 1, how God's plan began in my life. St. John chapter 15, verse 16. You can take your time if you want to follow along with the scripture, but I have it here and I could just read it. It says, "You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that ye shall go and bring forth more fruit, and that your fruit shall remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it to you." And I thought about my searching when I first found God's plan for my life. I was searching. I was going from church to church, and I was really looking for something. I was searching. Something was happening in my mind, in my heart, and I just wanted to change. But I went to a couple of churches, a few churches, but I left hopeless. I went hopeless and came out hopeless. It was no different. I was searching like it's got to be something else to it. I had questions in my heart about my life. I'm like, why do I feel this way? Why do I want to change my life? Why do I want to stop drinking? Why do I want to stop fornicating? Why do I feel this way? But when I went to the church, the couple of churches that I went to, they wasn't sharing with me how I can be delivered. So I left exactly the same way. So this began the plan of God for my life. So I got home one day, and I got on my knees, and I just cried out to the Lord, and I said, "God, please lead me to a place where people really, really love you." And Lord, behold, that began the plan of God for my life. And it sounds like Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11 to me. So I'm going to read that part.
Wonderful.
It's my favorite scripture. It is. It says, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you," which means to me, I know the plan that I have for your life. You said the Lord, he said, "Thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end, to give you a great future." It said, "Then shall you call on me," and that's what I did. I called upon him. I called upon him. He said, "Then ye shall call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me." And that's exactly what I did. "And I will hearken unto you," and he sure did. "And ye shall seek me," and I did, because I was seeking church. I was trying to find him, but I just couldn't. So I called on him myself. I said, "Lord, you lead me. You guide me to a place where you want me to be." And it says, "And ye shall seek me." Yes. And it says, "Ye shall seek me me, and ye shall find me when you search me with all your heart, and I will be found of you, saith the Lord. And I found him that day on that floor. And then what happened was, when I prayed that prayer, Ronald asked me to a Bible study. And I went to a Bible study, and what I was searching for, I was searching, and I was like, man, so when I got to that Bible study, it took one thing for me to know this is it. And I know everybody here probably know already because y'all heard this testimony before. But my mind was, how come people can't be committed to one another? Why is it that people can be married and have somebody on the side? Or how I just couldn't get that in my mind. I was like, how come from the time I was a little girl, I always wanted to be married? And I don't know why, but I just felt like it should be that way. I'm like, a man should be with a woman and they should be together forever. That's how I felt. I felt this way. But the reason why I felt that way is because that's God's plan. That was his plan for everybody's life. It's just that he instilled those thoughts in a lot of people's lives. The Holy Spirit's hovering all over the earth to try to get people to turn. But when you don't turn, the more you resist it, the fainter and fainter it became. But that was so stronger in me, and he was able to use that to save me. Reverend said, she said you have to be married. And she said that you don't have to be sleeping around. I was like, everything stopped. I was like, I'm like, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. Like, this is it. This is it. I can't believe I heard it. I was like, I was going to churches and stuff, and I heard people, they was like, yeah, on one knee turning around. I'm like, this just it's not helping me. I'm still crying. I'm still hurting. I feel hopeless the same way I came in. But that night, I repented of my sins in that little bitty house with the broken down couch and a spaghetti in the kitchen with the salad and a strawberry shortcake. I'm serious. That day, I repented of my sins and something happened to me. My life, yes. Through my life, and my life changed, and he answered those questions that was in my heart. Yes, you are supposed to be married. Yes, you're supposed to keep your jewels to yourself for somebody that God has planned for you. Yes, it is possible for you to stay. You can keep yourself. You don't have to be intimate with one guy. You break up in another month, the next month you with somebody else, and then he's with somebody else. Now you sleeping with that person. Okay. No, that's why you feel that way, because his plan was in my life. He sanctified me. He set me apart for this ministry, and the reason why I felt that way because he had a plan for me, just like he had a plan for everybody. The only thing they have to do is answer call, just like I did. And that was something I never thought. And God had to really, I knew it was God because that was something that was a weakness in me. I depended on a man to make me, it was like that was my water every day and my food every day. I just had, the way I would go after them and go to their house late at night searching, looking for them. Where you at? You cheating on me? I was a horrible person. But God changed. Can you imagine being one way, don't think you can be delivered? You come into a little bitty church with a little bitty chair, not even think you're gonna be delivered, and all of a sudden you just delivered from it all? That's amazing. And maybe God can do something like that. And my second point is two forces battling for my soul. And this is important because the devil got people's eyes covered. He thinks his whole goal is to see people to make them think that he's not real, and that's how he can get people. And I thank God for the great things I went through in my life, and the manifestation that I've seen is because it gave me reality. The devil is real. Right. People can say all kind of stuff, but he is really real. He's after everybody, those who are saved and Christian alike. It doesn't matter. He's trying to take us all out. And being in this Jesus ministry, he's really trying to take us out. Yes. One day I had an emergency, and I start hemorrhaging, really, really bad, like almost to death, literally. I'm not saying that like kind of like Caleb said, he was starving to death. That really wasn't happening. This was really happening. I was really bleeding to death. I was really hemorrhaging to death. So I had to go to the emergency room. I was freaking out, because it never happened to me in my life. I really thought I was dying, because I really was. But God probably knew, you're not dying. But at that moment, I'm thinking, I'm dying today. So it was a really scary time for me. So I went to the hospital. I'm not going to name the hospital because they'll kill you. I promise you. So I went to the hospital, and I felt like, have you ever watched a movie and somebody's telling a story about it, and you looking onto it. It's kind of like I felt like I was in it, but then I was watching myself. It didn't seem real to me, because they was letting me bleed to death. They was letting me hemorrhage to death. They was walking past me. The doctors wouldn't. They didn't want to. They just was not seeing about me, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, is this happening to me? So of course, look up, and who do I see? Minister Nicole. She was right there. So Minister Cole was there. She was really something. I gotta say that. Minister Cole is a good nurse. Because she's passionate. And so she came, and I looked up, she's like, what's going on? She was checking, she just threw her back because she knew she wasn't a nurse in that hospital. But yet the Holy Spirit had to use her because they was gonna let me die. And she knew that. So it was another doctor in there, another nurse in there. So she looks at her and she goes, where you a nurse at? I'm thinking, don't be JJ now because somebody's trying to come and take care of me. So Mrs. Cole came, and then the doctor came. They was talking with each other. She was like, what's going on? What's happening? Blah, blah, blah. So they had to go get some doctor. They came and got another doctor. So he came, he was looking and examining me. But I was hemorrhaging profusely. When I say, it was like water. I'm not joking. So all I did, I'm like, okay, nobody's helping me. I said, God, I said, Jesus, I said, would you please make this stop? I am not joking. Immediately when I said that, when the doctors and Minister Cole was examining me, they said, well, it looks like it stopped. It looked like the bleeding had just stopped. I'm like, and it did, but I didn't think about that because when I was in it, I wasn't thinking about it. But after it, and then definitely when I was doing my testimony, it all flooded back to my mind how God instantly, and it brought back to Matthew chapter 9, where it talks about the woman with the issue of blood, and how when she called upon the Lord and she touched his garment, and how her blood instantly stained. I was like, that happened to me, because it wouldn't stop. It was going like this, and I was like, this got to stop. And then people, I felt like, I'm like, these people are not helping me. What is it? But I had to call on Jesus myself. And I said, Jesus, help me. I said, please. I said, make this stop. And immediately it stopped just like that. And I just thank the Lord so much for that. But the reason why I called it two forces battling for my soul is because I know that it was the devil, and I know it. And it's like he's an opportunist, and he'll take any opportunity to take a person out that loves God. It may seem fanatical, it may seem minute, but those little instances, it lets you know how invaluable and precious our lives gotta be. Because the devil's not playing to hinder us. He's not trying to hinder us. He wasn't trying to hinder me. He was trying to take me out of this world, because I'm valuable to this ministry. I support this ministry. I love this ministry, and he knows what we can do together. He knows it, and he's gonna take us out. He knows it. I'm like, Lord, it's like no matter what I feel like, it's like I know this ministry is like my heartbeat. It's like the things. It's not what's in it. It's not the chairs. It's not because the ministry, man, my ministry is in my heart. So God is anywhere that I am if I'm saved. But my whole goal, my whole thing is that it doesn't matter. It's like this is in my heart. This life with God is really in my heart. And it's like to have a purpose in life, to have something to count for, to have something to look forward to every day, to know that you're making a difference in something. People are dying every day because they don't have a place, and they're finding it in drugs and alcohol, and they feel like this is all they have. I was that person, but God gave me a new, brand new life. How can we not want to serve God? Why wouldn't we want to? I don't care if we have problems. I have a lot, but it's like I know that if I don't have God, I don't have nothing. This plan that He set for my life, I gotta finish it. I have to. It's all that I have.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
And one day when I was I had got diagnosed with cancer. This is another instance where I know the devil was real. It's when I had got diagnosed with cancer, and he was mocking the God in my life. through this doctor. The doctor didn't know, but he was just a human being that he could just use. Because the devil works through people. It's true. It's really real. The devil is real, but God is real. He's more powerful than the devil, but he is real. And it's important to know that he's real, because if we don't know that he's real, what I'm learning is that we don't know he's real, we won't know the tactic that he used against us. We don't know that it's him that's using them. So the doctor, I got diagnosed with cancer. Of course, you hear the big C. The first thing you think, I'm dying, I'm dead. So, no, it's people like, oh, no, it's serious.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of lessons. But anyway, so the doctor, he looked at me and he told me, he said, well, you can pray and hope it goes away. You can call on God. I'm like, this is the devil.
Wow.
And but I did exactly what he told me to do. I did exactly what he told me to do. I talked to God a lot about it, and I talked about my weaknesses and everything. I told him how I felt, but I thought about, and I just see myself coming out. When I looked up, I was out of it. Jesus ministry. This is the ministry that God called me to, and he knew what was ahead for me. But if I wasn't in this ministry, no doubt I would have been dead a long time ago. So to God I give him the glory. To God I give him the glory for a leader that believes in his miracles, that lives holy, that lives right, and wants the best for us. We have the best leaders, and I was thinking about that today in my prayer time. I started thinking about Minister Jermaine, Minister Nia, and Pastor David, my mom, Minister Nicole, and Reverend. I was like, God, you gave us some really beautiful leaders. And the reason why I said it is because the truth that they believe in the truth. And that's what has saved me. And that's what I'm grateful for. Yeah. So I want to read something. I ain't got no books here. It says, there's a great war between, I'll read this too. Since there are so many different kinds of demons that can destroy completely, you must open your eyes to their deceit in this final hour. Never before has there been such a critical battle involving so many demons fighting mankind as now. The great war between God and the devil is raging, and you're right in the middle of it. Yes. The devil is doing all within his power to see that you fail, tempting you with everything he possibly can. All I can do is encourage people to get saved, get salvation, because that's my own, that's protection. Amen. My next thing is when I rejected God. And when I rejected God, something happened to my mind. And I know in my family we have mental illness on, I think it's my father's side of the family. It is. And I was very touched by it. But I didn't realize I was like that until I came into the truth. I didn't know. So when I rejected God, what God had delivered me from, it got worse, really. No, actually it did. So that's when I started hearing voices in my mind. And it's real. It's demons. So when I thought about it, it's not voices that you hear your own self-talk. You really hear audible voices. You hear other people talking in your mind. Amen. It's like, it's not like, oh, I had a thought. No, it was somebody. It's like an audible. When I say audible, it's like an intercom, like somebody going, Sharon. It's kind of like that. Right. It's like you sitting there, you hear the echo from it. It's kind of like that. But the reason why that happened to me, because I rejected God's truth at one time in my life. But thank God he gave me my man back. I brought this out, I think the Lord is letting me know and helping me what he really delivered me from, what the power of the blood can do against the powers of Lucifer. Yes, I was affected by all those things, but God's power overshadowed me and delivered me from it. And the voices of demons, they are real. They real. And when I'm learning that if I left God, it'll be worse triple than that. And I can't even imagine it happening, because that was an awesome, to be able to think on your own, and you hearing other people talking and it ain't your voice. That's something that only God can deliver you from. But I thank God. I thank God I had a place that I can get delivered from it. I'm so grateful for that. teaching of the mind, voices of demons. Demons of the mind have intelligence. They talk to people just like human beings. People taken over by mental spirits absolutely hear audible voices. People who are leeched hear voices also, but not audibly. They think the voices are their own ideas, own thoughts, and own ideas. Part of the mind is being directed by demonic powers, and only the truth can give the happiness of God. Only the truth brings joy and the greatness of the Lord into a person's life. And my last point is, God planned the perfect mate for me. I know Darren's gonna be all shy, but I thank the Lord for Darren, who puts up with me because I'm a mess. But I thank the Lord, honestly. I never thought the life that God's given me could really happen. I never thought from the time I was a little girl who always wanted to be married, I knew what my husband would want to be like. Even though Darren's not the kind of person I would have chose if I was in the world, it wouldn't have happened. And that's why I was lost. It just wouldn't have happened. He was not a person that I looked at. I like light skin, tall, curly hair. They had to have a slick. They had to be pretty boys. But the Lord, when you're saved, something happens to you. He helps you think different. You start looking at qualities that count. Like, I'm serious. I'm for real. I'm serious, because one time I went out with somebody and thought came to me, watch how he is. And I did. And something said, look how he's eating. Actually, you want a napkin? If you wanted something to drink. I was like, that's true. He said, so how you gonna treat you? This y'all first date. I was like, this is true. So I had to stop, because I couldn't go on, because God was letting me know right then, he's not for you. But I didn't know Darren was for me, but he was. I got a few more minutes. Okay. So I believe in my heart how God really drew me to Darren. I'm going to tell y'all why. So Darren would come periodically. He heard Reverend on, I think it was WJYS. And that's when he started coming. And he was coming, and then he was coming by himself. And I was like, oh, okay. But I never really thought no more about it. And he started bringing this girl with him. But he didn't know I was for him, so he didn't know. So I don't think But he started bringing this girl in here. I was like, oh, well, he's like, okay. So one day, he was coming, and he stopped, and he started coming again. One day we was having a second service, we were serving food, but the chairs were on this side. I'm bringing this point out to say that God is in everything. When you're saved and you have the plan of God and you want the plan, he can direct your life in everything. So I was upstairs, and I was living upstairs, and I was sitting there, I was just doing something, and something told me, you should go down and talk to Darren. I was having a fight within myself. Am I mad? I don't know. I was like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. No, I'm serious. It was weird. I felt like I was having a conversation with somebody. I said, no, I can't do that. I said, because he's off limits. He has a girlfriend. I said, so while I'm going to finish something, I'm going to start something I can't finish. I said, so now I'm not going to do that. But something was like, just talk to him. I was like, no. I was like, I'm not going to talk. I'm serious. I'm not talking to him. It was so weird. So I just felt so compelled and drawn. So when I got downstairs, because Darren's not the kind of person I would have dated, So when I got downstairs to the church, and someone was like, just talk to him. I was like, but he got a girlfriend. I said, that looks kind of bad. I said, why would I do that? I was having in my mind, I was like, why would I do that? That's not right. I said, just talk, see what he about. I was like, so I sat down. I was like, okay. I was like, hey, Darren. I'm thinking I'm supposed to talk to you. So I said, hey, Darren. He said, hey, how you doing? And I said, yeah, Reverend said that you was going to move back to Colorado. And he was like, yeah. He said, but if I find a wife, he said, I'm not going to move back. He said, I'm not dating that girl no more. I said, oh, you not? So now I knew why I was so compelled to go to at first, because the thought kept coming to my mind, it was really strange. It just wouldn't have happened. I was like, no, because I'm like, he has a girlfriend. But when he told me, he's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, well, if I found a wife, he said, I'm not going back to Colorado. He said, yeah, me and that girl, we broke up. I was like, oh, y'all did? I was like, wow. I was like, he said, yeah, she's picky. He said, I'm picky. He said, but she's really picky. I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, okay. So we started talking and stuff. And then the thought came to me. I'm like, he's looking for a girlfriend, a wife. I said, I got to get him. I dealt on a mission after that. I said, he comes to the church. He's been coming, so it means he likes what he hears. I'm like, that's rare. And I was reading one of Reverend Ainsley's book. He said, if there's someone, I forgot how he used the word. He said, if there's someone that believes in what you believe in, and you pass them up, it may be years before you get that opportunity again. And I was like, damn it. So because I know he was looking for a wife, but he thought I was young and a college student. He didn't think I was like, okay. So I asked him out myself. I said, you want to have lunch together? And he looked at me and he said, yeah, I got lunch.
Yes, there.
And then from then on, then it was me and Darren. So after that, I started battling with it myself. Okay, I got 7 more minutes. I started battling myself. I started praying to God. I said, God, I went on the first date with him, and he was so warm and so fatherly. And I was like, I like him. He's so gentle and just so warm. And I remember texting Reverend, and I don't know if you remember, but I remember texting. She said, okay, slow down. I mean, my man was like, it's just too late for all of that. I'm like, I'm in it. So we started dating, and then I kept praying to the Lord. I said, God, if he's not for me, Jesus separated. I said, do something. Because I like him. I said, I really do. I said, he likes the ministry. I said, he likes women pastors. That's what I prayed for. I said, he has respect for ladies. I said, not just me, but I saw him open the doors for people, women. I was like, he just is in his nature. I said, he's nice. I like him. I said, but Lord, I said, you know how I am. I said, if he's not for me, I said, let him do something so stupid and crazy. I'd be like, no. I said, let my leaders say something. I mean, I used to pray about this every day. I'm not joking. So every time we'll say a prayer, he go do something astronomical, like really beautiful and good. I'm serious, he would do something. So one day, I don't know if y'all remember I shared this testimony about not able to pay my cell phone bill. So one day, Darren came to me. We was dating for a few months, and he said, he gave me $100. And he said, I'm gonna give you this. He said, I'm gonna give you $100 every time I get paid. And I was like, that's God. This song, God revived me. I was like, that's God. I was like, Lord, that's you, because there is no way. I mean, people, anyway, and he does it right today. And I'll be like, he will always do something great every time I ask God. I'll be like, God, is it him? Is it really, is he the one for me? Am I in it? He would go do something magnificent. And I knew as I was growing up, we were sharing how we grew up, and we are so much alike. We were both of us was really different. It was weird. We were weird people when we grew up. And the reason why I say that is because I was always wanting to be about my mother. I didn't care about having my friends. I just wanted to be with my Barbie dolls and be with my mom. I didn't want my friends when they kiss boys, and I was like, I'm not feeling that right now. I just want to hang out in my house with my mom. And Darren was sharing how he was when he was younger, and I was like, man, we were just exactly alike. I was a late starter getting out and hanging out. I was a late starter, and Darren was kind of just like the same way. So it just encouraged me. I just felt like God, I felt like he was sanctified, he was set apart just for me. I really believe that. I waited 15 whole years, and Darren he was worth it. He was really worth the wait. Worth it. And to finish, restate my purpose, I have a plan and a purpose for my life that has already been laid out. All I have to do is just follow that plan. Close with power, Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. All thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. And that's my testimony.